We are chubby men, and chubby men should be clothed.
Words to live by.
Words to live by. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Motor City Metrics podcast here on TigersMLReport.com. I am Rogelio. You can see alongside me is Chris Brown and Uper. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And just want to thank everybody for the last couple of weeks or so of donations and what have you. We've been getting some really positive comments over Tigers ML Report, which, by the way, on Twitter is now 17,000 followers. We are the
number one Detroit Tigers minor league Twitter account. That's not worth a lot, but it's worth something.
Nice.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. For all that, whatever that's worth. But anywho, plenty to get to. The Tigers made more news, I think, after their sweep of the Mariners than they did during the. I think they made more noise. I don't know if you guys would think that. I think they made more these roster moves. They made more noise than the win over the Mariners. They beat the Mariners 2-1. Unexpected 2-run shot by Javier Baez. And Javier Baez, there was a tweet out there, by the way, that was interesting to me. That was just like, well, is this going to prolong the inevitable? He's going to be on the roster next year. Maybe not. Maybe, you know what? We here at Tigers Minor League Report / Motor City Metrics like to admit when we're wrong. Chris and I were talking about this on the way up to Lansing the other day. So we did say that we think that Trey Sweeney didn't think we'd get the call up. And you know what?
Wrong!
We were wrong. We were wrong. We would again even, but I was going back to the press conference and I'm pretty sure they thought that Scott Harris said that he was going to stay in Toledo. I'm really pretty 100% with that. Because there's some work for him to be done, but over the last month or so, he had a WRC plus over 140 between his time in Oklahoma City and in Toledo, and he's been hitting pretty well. I didn't see him a lot third. And then you see that Jace Jung was going to get called up, and we were suspecting that a little bit. Because you want to see these quote, we've been talking about this for 2 years now. The earmark, was it 2 years now? The earmark comment.
Yeah, I mean, last year he said they wanted to earmark playing time for young guys, and then they kind of didn't happen. And a lot of people, it's interesting. Last year there was the call up of Parker Meadows, right? And a lot of people have said this year, like, hey, if they had called up Colt Keith at the end of last year, maybe we wouldn't have had these struggles to start this year. To which I point to Parker Meadows. Maybe they did. Maybe they're taking a different tack. Maybe they're thinking, if these guys are going to be part of the team next year, let's see them now and see if they can get some of this out of the way. But, I mean, it's after a very fun 3-game sweep of Seattle, it's some devastating losses and a 5-1 stretch against Seattle, which is basically one diving catch attempt away from a season sweep. Suddenly, the player call-ups kind of take away not all the fun of that, but certainly take over the top billing,
especially with the Twitter world, which we're all in some respects involved in. I think the fans there that we hear from a lot, they want change, right? They want these young guys to come in and change the direction of the big league club. So to see something like this happen 2 at once, that is huge news. I mean, it really is. And whether it's Baez, he missed the other night because of a hip issue, right? So who knows if they want to give him, days off each week. I don't know how bad that situation is. But with the way Sweeney's hitting and the fact that he's 24 and he needs a look at some point here, why not start now? And then with Jace Jung, the last month, it just shows statistics aren't everything. They must feel he's ready and he's ready to keep his head above water, right? Because he hasn't really hit that great for the last, 3-4 weeks. But here he is, and it's going to be pretty exciting to watch him play third and see, how he handles the hot corner. Because we've talked about it on the show, how he's done at Toledo. Not always the best, but now he's, at the big league level, and Katie bar the door, see what happens.
So that leads to the one of the Cespedes barbecue guys was at the game on Tuesday night. So I was a account I used to follow, and then they got to MLB, and I stopped. Not that I don't follow them anymore. I just don't pay attention to them that much anymore. But no, one of the things about these earmark at bats too is like, it's unfortunate as far as like, so what would be the next corresponding move? DFA, that it sounds like 89 or 99.9% everyone wants to see Zach McKinstry gone or Gio Urshela gone. And so that is something that we'll know till probably before game time tomorrow. No, the corresponding moves have not been announced yet. They'll be announced tomorrow. The Tigers tend to do this. Tigers will happen is the B writers will get there. I'm hopefully my goal tomorrow is to get everything done so I can get down there early enough to where I can go to the press scrum and able to get down to the player locker room and just look around the locker rooms. But because that's the way they go about it. They go down there and go, all right, who's missing? Ding.
McKinstry doesn't have a locker.
Yeah, exactly. Then you immediately tweet that out immediately when you get down there. That is a fun fact. So I'm trying to get down there as quickly as possible tomorrow. I actually I worked a little late today. I worked on the top 31. We have a top 31. I did the graphics for it. So there's our top 31 list coming up. So my goal is to get done. We'll talk about how you getting pulled, Larry. And Trey Cruz had the night off. There's nothing with West Michigan that's unusual as of yet, so we'll get to that a little later. But
we'll have to get you some blockers, Raj, to get you into that locker room before everybody else.
Well, I mean, I wish I could. What's funny is I think out of all of them, though, I think Cody would probably have a good sprint. Evan, then after that, I could be third though. I mean, okay. I don't know. McCoskey's, no offense to the great Chris McCoskey down there, but I can run when need be. I mean, I'm still sore from yesterday though. We walked 3 miles, but I realized, Chris, when we did all the miles in the heat, I walked with shoes that didn't fit. They were big. If you walk with shoes that are too big, kind of screws up your hip alignment. So
you got big clown shoes on? I didn't notice.
Well, I mean, big New Balance clown shoes, but
yeah.
So yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of. We got lots and lots of speculation. I would think that if they do DFA some people, it won't be just the locker shuffle. I would think if it's DFAs, like they don't mind doing that when it's guys just getting called up and sent down. But I would think there'd be some kind of the PR announcement first, but maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's like 1,000 different scenarios we could see. Things, oftentimes when this happens, something like this happens, ends up being an injury that we had no idea about. Remember, who is it when Winslow got called up? Right, we were like, what's this all about? And then it ended up being that Ibanez was hurt, I think.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like Jace Jung, he's not a good third baseman. I don't mean to be mean. We've talked about it a bunch. If they're calling him up to play third base in the major league level, it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be great, which makes me wonder if Colt Keith maybe isn't healthy and they want him to play second base. I don't know. Maybe they're just like, you know what? He's learned everything he can learn in AAA Toledo at third base. We're going to try to get him some reps in the big leagues and see if he can improve there. I don't know. It was kind of an odd call up to me because, as you were saying earlier, it's not like he's not setting the world on fire. He's been fine, but he's only got like 14 home runs this year, right? Like it's not
15,
not like it's not like he's crushing the ball,
right?
And he's taking his walks and hitting for decent average, but I don't know. It's but again, yeah, like maybe there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't realize that at least with his performance or with injuries. But yeah, there's like 3 different players who could get kicked off the 40-man. I even thought about like you could remove Ryan Kreidler from the 40-man roster if you wanted to. That wouldn't open a spot on the active roster just yet, but like that's another guy that they could get rid of. I wouldn't think they would do that. I think they would go with McKinstry first, but who knows? We'll find out, and maybe some people will already know by the time they listen to this podcast. But right now, it's all just speculation.
And Bone Digging on our YouTube chat said that Keith got spiked pretty good today, and I did see that. So that could be one of those things where it is a injury that it goes a little deeper than what people perceive. Like maybe after the game is like, I just whatever. I mean, Cole Keith's going to be you have to rip that uniform off him. He's the kind of guy that doesn't want to miss any time whatsoever. So, but as far as Jung goes too, even against high velocity, he does have a decent slugging percentage against it. But as far as hitting high velocity goes, he's batched just under 200, over 95 plus. But that's where you're gonna. I think even with Trey Sweeney, as we saw in Manchester City and Toledo, he has some good at bats. I think there's going to be some struggles with him against off speed away a little bit, but hopefully Tigers fans are okay with that. I mean, that's one thing. Yeah.
Javi can help him out on that off speed away.
Well, yep.
The slide. Well, he did hit a slider recently, but go ahead.
Yeah, the numbers in AAA, and from what I've seen just from videos, I didn't get a chance to go see him in Toledo, which is a bummer. But I thought I'd have more time. Yeah. I thought we had more time. He struggles against breaking balls. He hits fastballs just fine, and he's okay with changeups, but struggles against breaking balls, particularly the breaking ball underneath the hands. That's basically Zach McKinstry's kryptonite, right? Like you throw him a slider under his hands, and he's going to swing at it and miss it. Sweeney's a little bit similar, but younger, and the new blood in town, right? So we'll see.
He's got a little more power to him than McKinstry does, I think.
Yeah, he hits the ball consistently very hard. It's just a lot of the times it's on the ground. Unfortunately, it's like 1.5 ground balls to fly balls. Just kind of his swing path. But he has whole field power. It wouldn't shock me if if his first home run in the big leagues is to the opposite field. He can really backspin it pretty well. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun seeing these young guys play for sure. I just I always worry about fans like immediately deciding they suck, right? Like and I don't know, or they start off well and then the people turn on them and hate them in the future. Like how many people are screaming and yelling for Badu to get DFA'd, right? Like it's like, how soon we forget how magical that first month / 2 weeks was with Akil Badu. But, it's fun.
Yeah, and here's pull up a chart of Sweeney's swing chart a little bit. And you're right, it does kind of go all over the field a little bit there. And that's what I saw in Sweeney too was you were talking about the breaking balls. The reason why I was talking about off speed away is because even when there was a couple times during the at bats where he just could not time it right. And I don't know, like that's where if you're gonna see advanced off speed, as far as like, I mean, you look at Jacksonville, right? I mean, Jacksonville. That was the first time, by the way, that Toledo's ever played Jacksonville.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I did not know that. But I think we're going to see, in terms of position-wise, we're going to probably see Sweeney, he's like fringe shortstop. I say that, like he played so far just a handful of innings down in Toledo at third. He played a little more than that at Oklahoma City. So I think that he's going to play more third than Jung is.
I could see that. I think he could step right in, and he's only played a handful of games at third base in the minors. And I think he's legitimate. He is a legitimate shortstop. It's probably McKinstry-ish defensively, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, I think he's got the arm to play third. So that's definitely something we could see. Yeah, it could just be Jung playing DH for a while. I don't mean to discount what you said, Raj. I was just 100% going off the stats that I pulled up when they acquired him. So I haven't even looked since it updated. But when they acquired him, I went through and looked at everything. And I don't know if we went over this in the show before, but he at the time he had an in-zone whiff rate of 18.7%, which was more than Winsel Perez and Dylan Dingler and Meadows and Bigby and Leonard, but less than Madris and Navigado and Malloy and Torkelson and Jung. Chase rate of about 13.3%, average-ish, same as Dingler. Hitting 291 with a 564 slugging on 94 plus. So he hits the fastballs. 182 with 270 slugging against breaking balls and 242 with 380 slugging on off speed. So again, I don't know if the Tigers have had him change anything or what we'll see coming up, but he certainly has been playing well with Toledo. So that's good to see.
And of course, if they want to DH him, then that means Carpenter, they feel, is fully ready to be in the outfield a lot. Which, I was assuming he was going to DH half the time here for a while.
Well, I mean, it's going to be an interesting setup because you've got Riley Green coming back. Riley Green made his first rehab appearance with Toledo tonight. So he'll be coming back in a day or two or, a few days. And then you've got Jung and Malloy, who are DH-ish type players to go along with Sweeney and Green and Carpenter and Meadows. It's a fun young lineup, but it's going to be an interesting the way that AJ Hinch kind of configures the defense. That's for sure.
Especially, I mean, go ahead.
Well, could they send Malloy back? I don't know. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, they could. Although I mean, he's hasn't been great, but he also I don't think is like necessarily deserving of being sent back to Toledo.
Yeah.
I would think they would want to get him more at bats too, because you don't really know what you have there either.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that is to me is going to be a puzzle in a way is like just the outfield defense. I mean, Green is coming back. You want to make sure that Green also just stays healthy and left. I mean, the reason why Malloy should stay on this roster is it allows Green to even possibly just. I mean, I know Malloy's not the greatest outfielder in terms of metrics, but I does Green go full tilt when it goes the first couple weeks? Hell no. I mean, he shouldn't, but he will. You know how he is, but there's a part of me that thinks that there's a part of me. There's two things. One part of me is excited also because you get to see what the Tigers have for next year, essentially, and what they're going to do free agent wise. This kind of gives them an idea of what they will definitely need. And another part of me is also pumped because let's talk about something in the room here, an elephant in the room here. Kerry Carpenter, like Jesus. I mean, he loves God, so it's kind of fitting. God put him back on this roster, and he's been just. You imagine a healthy Kerry Carpenter in this lineup the entire time during this whole stretch. It is. I know we're talking about some of the minor league stuff, which is forte a little bit, but honestly, welcome back, Kerry Carpenter. Honestly, I don't really get into like getting all crazy about these players, but just Kerry Christ Bonds Carpenter. Yes, Sean is absolutely correct. It is like just. I don't have the hallelujah effect, but
Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah,
That's true.
Jesus was a carpenter.
JC was a carpenter.
That boy is good.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a much better return than hitting 2 home runs in his first game back and another one that tied the game in his second game. He didn't do much anything today, but on the third day, Carpenter rested, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's you got to hope that guy can stay healthy, right? It's the same with Carpenter and same with Green. We've got a couple of years in a row where they really produce when they're healthy, and then they just keep getting dinged up a little bit. I think Carpenter was at shoulder when he ran into the wall last year.
Yeah.
And this year, the back. But yeah, and to touch back on what you said, Raj, the one thing that would worry me a little bit, and you talked about they get these guys up here to see what they need in free agency. Well, now they may go ahead and argue that they don't need anything in free agency, right? Because now they've got young players everywhere and they want to see if they can produce. And then you go into next year with like the second lowest payroll in baseball. Who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens.
Look, I'm not. Go ahead.
Well, and we didn't even mention like Matt Vierling, right? Like, is he injured? Is he going to IL? Is he going to continue to play third base in the outfield with all these young guys around? Or are you just going to go ahead and let Vierling sit down for a while? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, let me explain the free agent thing. I didn't say they were going to spend. I didn't say they were going to spend big money on free agents. I never said that at all. I said they're going to spend. I said they're going to spend on free agents. They'll probably, who knows? They might, might get
Bullpen.
the ghost, bullpen or the ghost of Justin Upton. I mean, I don't really know what they're going to spend money on. Is it going to be a lot of money? Probably not. I mean, Harris has indicated that several times already. So, I mean, Javi Baez would take up 50% of the payroll. It's not too far off. It might not be far off from the truth. I'm not no mathematician on that, but honestly, it allows them to spend money on free agency in the most basic way possible to see if they can address some of the things they need.
You could. I mean, honestly, like it wouldn't be great. Like we all wanted them to go out there and sign a couple bats just to be a major league team, right? But there's a possibility that they don't go and sign any bats and they just have an all youth lineup basically, and then spend money on pitching and like starters and bullpen, which wouldn't be the worst outcome in the world. At least they're spending some money, but yeah, it would be nice if they could go get, a Christian Walker and Anthony Santander or something like that. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, don't sign 35-year-olds as we have a user on Twitter on here. Oh, absolutely. But
Christian
addressing
Walker's at home, but
anyways, addressing needs. I mean, look, the bottom line is this: the Tigers, if they're gonna go the Cleveland, like I said, if they're gonna go the Cleveland Guardians route, which is spend little and develop players, I'm fine with that as long as look at Cleveland right now. They're Chase DeLauder, by the way, hit a home run.
yeah,
So
3-run homer.
They threw run earlier, but bottom line is look at Cleveland. They're in first place. I thought Cleveland would fall back a little bit, but they're still out there too. And Sean saying this Santander is going to be the most obvious Yankee overpay.
I mean, they're going to re-sign Soto, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they're going to go get another outfielder, but no, I mean, Cleveland has the best record in baseball, right? Like nobody saw that. That still doesn't feel right. We saw that team when they're their pitching's not that good. They have the best closer in baseball, and they have a kind of a fun young offense, but they have no business having the best record in baseball. I don't understand it. It's a strange thing to me.
It's this is why I love baseball. This is why I love baseball because of this. There's things that statistically speaking should not be possible, but they're possible. So there's some sort of level of mysticism to baseball.
Fun times in Cleveland again. Still Cleveland.
Cleveland's WRC plus this year is 100. They are a completely average offense. Same as San Francisco.
When Detroit faced them, they looked it.
Yeah, same as San Francisco and Oakland. Exact same offense. They have great defense, so you give them that. And I'm going to go ahead and look at their pitching. And as a team, they are 19th in pitching WAR. So.
And they got the great Matthew Boyd starting. I think pitched tonight, I believe.
He pitched last night, I think.
Last night, yeah.
But by the way, the Brookings Institution should be the name of a school in Pennsylvania somewhere. You know what? I want to name that a funk band, the Brookings Institution.
Where's Tom Brookins from?
Pennsylvania. That's why I said.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I think he's from. I think he's around. I think he's from a city not too far from Pittsburgh, I believe. But the
Mansfield.
Mansfield. Okay, so Mansfield. You said.
Well, that's where he went. Mansfield University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Not entirely sure. Let's see.
When you look at the rosters, it is hard to believe. I've thought the Twins would run down the White Sox or the Guardians. Excuse me.
They were getting close.
Yeah. And now they got Zebby Matthews out. Did you guys happen to catch Zebby Matthews' pitch the other day?
I watched the highlights.
They were playing KC, so I actually got that game here on TV, not online. I'll tell you, the kid looks good. I mean, that was a hell of a start. He looked good. They got this Festa kid too, who's pitched well a couple times. So they're actually developing some pitching as well.
Yeah. No, they're an excellent organization in terms of development. We don't mention them enough in terms of, they just continually restock with prospects and not necessarily guys. They got Walker Jenkins the other year, but they're not drafting guys at the top of the draft every year. But you had Zebby Matthews, you got Luke Keachel or Keeskol. I forgot how his name is pronounced, but he's a huge breakout. He did. They knew it apparently. They were planning on it. They did it right now to time it so that he'll be back next year. I guess they knew it when they drafted him. So, and he went out and had an awesome season without, while needing Tommy John surgery. So, yeah, they just they draft well, particularly later round pitchers. I don't know when they got Zebby Matthews, Zebulon, or Daniel Zebulon, but it's annoying to have them and Cleveland in the same division because they're
Bobby Witt.
Yes. So yeah, at least the White Sox are in the division.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of the White Sox, speaking of the White
go.
Sox, but yeah, it was the White Sox and Cleveland. You got Grady Sizemore as a manager. What kind of a bizarre world that we're living in? I mean, Grady Sizemore would come, resurrect themselves as the manager of the White Sox and take over that gig. Oh man, look that we can go on. I'm sure the White Sox will come up and are good and bad, the ugly, at some point. So
meanwhile, it was a hell of a week against the Mariners in these 3 games.
That's true.
We kind of glossed past that a little bit, but man, I'll tell you today, Javi Baez has hit some home runs in the last few weeks, but to see him do that today off possibly the best closer, well, after Clase, second best closer in the American League, I'll tell you that was really mind blowing. That was really fun to see.
Yeah, I was just going to. Sorry, Raj.
You're good.
Somebody had tweeted out that when Munoz hadn't given up a hit.
Yeah.
Since the 4th of July or something like
4th of
that.
July. Yeah.
And he hadn't given up a home run to a right-handed batter since last year. And the last 2 batters to homer off him are Javier Baez and Martin Maldonado, or arguably, 2 of the worst hitters in baseball. So there you go. Like Roger said earlier, baseball, you got to love it.
Yeah,
Well, he's a great pitcher, and he can pitch where he can throw wherever he wants and get people out. I get that, right? But what I tweeted after the game was I still can't believe with Javi Baez, and again, we see him every day, so maybe that's different. What we see, how you ever attack the strike zone against him and why you would do that, especially with an open base. At first, I just didn't understand it. When teams do that to him, they're just giving him a fighting chance when typically you can get him to get himself out, no problem. So luckily, the catcher was set up on the kind of the middle, kind of the outer half of the plate a little bit, and that pitch is hung there for him, and he crushed it.
Yeah, I mean, as YouTube user said, blind squirrel finds a nut. So, yeah, and there's another thing too. Javi does focus with runners on scoring runners in scoring position. As much as Javier gets a lot of shit, and a lot of it's justified, but at the same time, you should still cheer him on regardless. I mean, I know there's some people out there just saying, "Well, this makes him stay around the roster longer." Who cares? The guy helped the team win today, and that's all you can do. And also, we have to give somebody else their due.
Give him his due.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I finally found a way to use that, Chris. I've been waiting to use that for a while now.
Yeah. What it goes up there with the old when we did the Victor Reyes song to Rock Me Amadeus by what was that band's name?
Rock Me. Damn it! No. I know this. I'm not gonna look it up.
Victor Reyes.
Yes. Rock Me Amadeus. Nick Falco. Yeah, Falco.
They've informed us that Max Clark just homered. So
take care of that, Chris. All right, go ahead and do that.
My best.
Yeah, Max Clark home run. All right. Yes, that's his first home run at West Michigan, and I knew it was just going to happen in Lansing, just based off like that. Speaking of mysticism, same thing with Matt. Like, there's something about hitting in watching a game in Lansing that we've seen a lot of firsts, Chris. I mean, I know Chris is recording this right now at the moment, but there's a lot of times we see some really strange things at Lansing. Yesterday we saw within 2 innings, the Whitecaps put up 8 runs. We saw a home run from Lozano, and then Max Clark had a 4-hit game yesterday. So it's there's a great stat from Max Clark by Dan Hasty here, and it was one of those stats that really stands out to you because here he is, a guy who has come down to earth a little bit too, but also you look at the stat and you go, let's see it pull up here.
It was off the lefty too.
It was off a lefty too. Yeah, he's been hitting lefties like at a ridiculous clip since Lakeland. So down 0-2 in an 0-2 count, Midwest League hitters averaging OPS of 371. His OPS this season is nearly twice as that, 736. And this is a whole tweet just to put it out. Hasty said, I ran some numbers and found my new favorite Max Clark stat. In a game where hitters are at massive disadvantage of 0-2 counts, Clark is well above the league average. 736. 736.
Wow.
Yeah. So, YouTube user, by the way, you were at that game too, Steve? Yesterday? Oh, sweet. I did not know that. That was a good game to be at. But I'll have to talk about the Cuban sandwich later that we had. That's going to probably be part of Good and Bad, the Ugly this week.
All right, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah. One of the things, I don't know if you mentioned this, one of the things we learned yesterday too was Max Clark has to have extra security. They have extra security just for Max Clark because he's so popular and he's got such a following that there wasn't a particularly giant crowd after the game yesterday, but there were probably 50, 60 people waiting for autographs after the game just for Max Clark.
Yeah.
And I imagine, on a non-day game on a Wednesday, it's probably much larger than that. So, yeah, interesting stuff with that kid. And, we got to see his first 4-hit game, and now he's got his first home run, and he hit it right where we said he would yesterday. We were waiting for that cycle. But, yeah, I don't know. Good for him. Good for the Tigers. Lots of fun stuff with prospects going on right now.
Yeah, let's dive right into this inside the numbers. So within 30 seconds, you posted that, Chris.
Mhm.
Within 30 seconds, it got over 100 views in 30 seconds. There you go. So that's not my insider number, though. So you what's your insider number?
Very simple today, 7. Tuesday night was a lot of fun watching Jake Rogers knock in 7 runs. You know, we don't always talk about RBI on this show too much, and we don't talk about Jake Rogers all that much, to be honest. But he had a kind of a nice breakout game with the home run and with the long, well, it was a double with the belly flop out at third, trying for a triple, which was also very fun to watch, by the way. So, you know, Jake Rogers with a big game. First 7 RBI game since Ryan Rayburn, 2007.
Oh, nice.
Against the White Sox, which I think he may have hit a grand slam against Jake Peavy, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I didn't look it up. But I know he used to torment Jake Peavy of all people, Ryan Rayburn. So, so that's a long time between 7 RBI games. So good for Jake Rogers. Hopefully he can, you know, kind of stay hot here and get it to the finish line this season.
Yeah, that was that's a good point. Like there was a lot of things that happened in that game that we kind of, you know, you get the Kerry Carpenter 2 home runs, so you kind of forget that Jake Rogers had a monster game too.
Yeah, that was it was overshadowed too because like literally within a blink of an eye, it had it just happened that quickly. Chris, what's your inside number?
All right. So mine is negative 0.047. That the number just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? That is the difference in batting average and expected batting average for the unluckiest hitter in baseball, at least according to Baseball Savant, Javi Baez. He was before today. He came in today hitting 182 with an expected batting average of 229. You know, that doesn't expected batting average is kind of a mess that anyway, but it is kind of interesting to think about that. And his weighted on base average is also 47 points below his expected weighted on base average. So the unluckiest hitter in baseball. And this was going to be a funnier stat before he hit an awesome walk-off home run today. So there's that. But I just thought it was interesting. You know, I was just going around looking at stats. I'm like, he's actually hitting the ball better than he, you know, has been rewarded for. Not that it would be great, you know, but if he were hitting 230, I think people might feel a little bit better about him than 180.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the criticism would be muted. At least it wouldn't be so in your face all the time.
Yeah. So
it's good inside a number. So mine is 152, and that's the OPS plus of one Christian Yelich, who announced he'll be having season-ending back surgery, or is going on the IL to address to have surgery on his back. And it's unfortunate because he has been banged up the last couple of years. He hasn't been really since his monster season in 2019 where he hit 329, 429, and had slugged over at 671. And since his MVP season, I mean, both of those years, back-to-back years, are really good. He's trying to come back in all-star form. You know, he made the all-star team this year, had a really good year, finishing, you know, hitting 315 with 11 home runs. The power wasn't the same, but it was just good to see him back and contributing. And it's unfortunate that now Milwaukee will be losing that kind of production out of the lineup. And so it was he finished the season at 2.2 WAR, so a little bit above, just slightly bit above average, and just a sad thing to see. So that is my inside number.
that's good. I almost threw him as one of my bad or my uglies because it's always tough for guys to go out for the year, but
especially back surgery, because you never come back the same way, especially because again, if there's one theme about this podcast for the last decade is what are back injuries? Just a pain in the ass.
Mm.
Yeah.
So at any rate, let's continue on, and let's just go in the good, the bad, the ugly this week in baseball. Although I will say this, before we get to the good, the bad, the ugly, can I say
Yes.
the Australian breakdancer who the professor who
Raygun.
who apparently rigged her way into the Olympics because her husband was a coach. I just want to get this off my chest. I hope whatever nepotism penalties that are out there, you can't dance. And Raygun, I'm glad I missed the parts of the Olympics were really good. There was some really good stuff to talk about, but everybody's talking about that damn dancer, and she just needs to go away.
I think she actually, if I read it right, and I read it quickly, she created her own breakdancing federation for Australia, right?
Yep.
She's the person who came up with it, and that federation hired her husband to be the coach. I got her on the team. So basically, I think they swindled their way to a free trip to the Olympics from the Australian fund there.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's exactly that. And she did it to get viral. You know, she did it to get viral. She took a very long and stupid way to get viral. The 30 for 30 will be incredible. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were speculating that yesterday. There's no way she thought that what she was doing out there was actually legitimate dancing like that. She had to be just clowning for fun, and So I saw somebody had a rear windshield wiper with her face on it. Yeah, with her legs. I'm like, oh, come on now.
Yeah, I mean the actors from Electric Boogaloo somewhere that did the movie in the original movie in '84 are sad somewhere.
Yeah. Would you ever see the 30 for 30 on the rainbow wig guy, the John 316 rainbow wig guy?
No, there's a 30 for 30 on that dude.
Oh God, it's kind of a tragic story. Yeah, it was really interesting.
I thought he was a Satanist or something.
No, he ended up holding a woman hostage in a hotel, I think, and I think he might still be in prison.
Yeah,
or he may have died in prison. I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
You're good. No, you're good. I heard something weird about him. I wasn't sure if he was a Satanist or something. But anyway, Chris, what is your good and bad, the ugly this week?
Well, let me run this by you real quick. Did either of you guys mention Parker Meadows or the Tigers bullpen in your lists?
No.
Okay. I just want to.
I'm writing an article about Parker Meadows, so I did not put him in.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to. And I've tweeted about this a bunch, and we joked about it. The Tigers just win when he plays, but he did make a very nice running catch today. He got a hit. He got the leadoff walk. He ended up being the tying run when Javi Baez scored. So, and stole 2 bases. Just another, game where he's just the little things he does that help the team win. So I wanted to say that. And I also wanted to give huge credit to Brian Sammons and Kenta Maeda the last 2 days. And now I know Seattle's offense is garbage, but both of those guys pitched really well. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge reason why the Tigers got that sweep. So anyway, but neither of them are my good. I just wanted to throw that in there before we forgot. My good actually is Jake Burger. Jake Burger. Former White Sox draft pick. People may remember he kind of had a power breakout last year, and then they traded him to the Marlins for Jake Eater, who was just pitching against the Mud Hens last night, I think. He's not a great hitter. It's a pretty bad defender at third base. He's an okay defender at first base, but he's been one of the best hitters in baseball over the last month. In the last 25 games, he's batting .337 with 13 home runs, which is a pretty good stretch. It's good for 1.8 F4 and a 223 WRC plus, which is 6th and 5th respectively in baseball over that time. No one notices because it's the Marlins, but he's looking like he's developing into kind of that CJ Cron type of player, right? Where just a first baseman you can reliably count on to. It might be kind of streaky, but he's going to hit you 30 home runs and drive in some runs, and kind of what we hope Spencer Torkelson will be at some point. It's tough to be aspiring to be Jake Burger, but just thought I'd point out that he's been good for about a month.
Thank you, Sean, for the $5.
Off the Frickers building.
His good is the fish, salmons, and carp are carrying the tail end of our season. Thanks, fellas.
Tune in. So speaking of fish and salmon, how about mayo? Kobe Mayo is my bad. Now, remember, bad doesn't mean bad forever, but Kobe Mayo is one of these, top great prospects, right? One of the guys that the Orioles just wouldn't part with. And he came up to the majors and he went 1 for 17 with 10 strikeouts and a double play and a throwing error, and they sent him right back to Norfolk. And again, he's a great prospect. He's very good. He'll probably be a good player in the big leagues. This is not all that different than what we saw from Jackson Holiday, but it's a good reminder. I know Tigers fans sometimes complain that the Tigers, their young guys never come up and hit the ground running, and it's because most players don't. They come up and it's a rude awakening. Usually not as rude as it was for Mayo and Holiday, but maybe something the Orioles are doing. Maybe they deliberately want these guys to come up and fail so they can, send them back and show them what they need to do. But just thought I'd mention that as bad. And my ugly is the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates. It's been a fun team to watch this year a little bit. They have two of the best young starting pitchers in baseball in Skeens and Jared Jones, right? And they've got more help on the way, at least on the pitching side, with Bubba Chandler coming. And they were playing pretty good baseball. 2 weeks ago, they were 55-52, tied with St. Louis for second in the National League Central, just a couple games out of the wild card. And since then, they've gone 1-11. They have lost 10 games in a row. On a 10-game losing streak, they are now 7.5 games out of the wild card. And this is after they actually made some trades at the deadline to try to, nothing huge, but they went out and got Brian De La Cruz from the Marlins and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa from the Blue Jays. And it's just been a disastrous tailspin ever since. And so that one's pretty ugly for them.
By the way, the thing about the Pirates too is like to just get so close, inch little by little, and then all of a sudden the reality is, oh wait, you guys are the Pittsburgh Pirates. Fuck you.
It's I mean that's we share their pain, I think, in some regard. The Pirates and the Tigers aren't all that different, unfortunately.
All right, Uper, what is yours?
Okay, well, my good. Wanted to spend a list again, go back to Kerry Carpenter a little bit because what he did this week really can't be talked about too much. He was really fun to watch. I didn't think they were going to bring him back that soon. I was really surprised that he was going to be there on Tuesday because he'd only had about a dozen plate appearances and he hadn't done a whole lot in Toledo. So, we were wondering what his timing was like. Well, obviously his timing was just fine. They broke open that game partially because of what he did. What I really loved was that opening opposite field homer. The smile on his face, you could just see in the dugout, when he was doing the pizza thing, how happy he was to be back. I mean, I don't recall ever seeing a guy smile that broadly in that dugout the whole time. That was really fun to see. But what's going to happen, I hope now, is, once they get Green back, probably within this week, and plug Carpenter in there, and Colt Keith is sitting better, and Meadows is contributing, suddenly the lineup is getting lengthened to a spot where it hasn't been in a long time. So we talked about that when they had their rough stretch back in May and June. I mean, they basically had three guys hitting, and if they didn't produce a run that time through the order, the offense was probably going to be cooked for the night. Now they have the potential of having six guys who are producing to some level anyway, and that should make for a fun offense to watch these last 6-7 weeks. So it's just great to see him back, and hopefully Riley Green's right on his footsteps. My bad, just jumping out of baseball for a minute. JJ McCarthy blowing his knee. His meniscus. I don't know if he blew it out, but he total meniscus repair, out for the year. I'm no Vikings fan. I'm not going to cry for them, but I was kind of sad for the kid because, he's had such a great career in college. Looked like, I think he would have taken over that job from Darnold pretty quickly at some point here this year, but now he's out for the year. Just kind of sad. It'd be one thing if he went in there and threw interceptions and sucked, and that's just growing pains from being a rookie, but being knocked out injury-wise for the year is no fun. Ugly. MLB, this is just a rumor. It's a one-day thing. It may never happen, but they're talking today about mandating that starting pitchers go 6 innings, okay? Now, I'll be the first to say this. I've been in favor of a lot of the rule changes that they've done in the last couple of years, and for the most part, I would say the rule changes that they put in have worked, okay? So with that said, not a big fan of this.
Wait, are you going? I think we're going with the number 6. Is that what you're going with? Yeah, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is his ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, this is my ugly too. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, we can combine here. I mean, just jump in with whatever you want to say. I don't understand the point behind it, other than they supposedly want to reinvent the value and the fame of starting pitchers. Like the hype around starting pitchers is a big part of the growing the game, something like that. Anyway, it's just a little bit too big brothery for me. I know there's ways to get around it. And the ways, if you give up 4 earned runs, they said, or throw 100 pitches, you can come out. Oh, okay, well, then what's the point of the rule? Because if you haven't given up 4 runs and you're under 100 pitches, you're probably staying in anyway. Okay, so it just didn't make a lot of sense. Also, there'll be a lot of arguments if it is an earned run. Can you imagine some team saying, "Hell no, that's a unearned run,"
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I mean, that's just stupid. So there's it's a one. Hopefully, this is a one-day story that got a lot of clicks. I just don't see it working, and also we saw the Tigers. You can throw an opener out there and win ball games, and this would take that rule away or take that tactic away.
Oh God, I don't even know who the radio host said he was talking about today. It's probably Mark Ryan or something like that. Some Mark Ryan something. Look here. Oh yeah, sorry. Pardon the voice, but I got to do the voice for this part right here. Everybody annoyed by this voice, but with this quote, I guess it'll make a lot of sense. We're interested in increasing the amount of action in the game, restoring the prominence of the starting pitcher, and reducing the prevalence of pitching injuries. An MLB source told ESPN, there's a whole lot of options in addressing those issues. Okay, show me the science. Show me the science that this is going to reduce injuries. Please, indulge me. Do so. Because one of the things, there's a lot of stuff on the ESPN article, too, that what was interesting is that they were talking about how across the board innings, even like in AAA, are down. How many times a pitcher would go so in 2020. This goes back to 2014. Starting pitchers average just under 6 innings per start, according to ESPN Stats Plus and information. This season, that figure stands at 5.25, and it's down to 4.3 in AAA. So the league's conversations where pitchers have not pitched require 6 innings. Some instances where the starter would be allowed to leave early might include throwing 100 pitches, gives up 4 more earned runs. He gets injured with the acquired injury list sent to avoid manipulation. Yesterday, we witnessed this in Lansing. Lansing left their pitcher out for they had nobody. He allowed 8 runs and they left him out to dry. We come to find out later he was averaging 7 innings per the last 2 starts, right, Chris?
Yeah, well, apparently Oakland has been, Lansing has been very careful with starter innings this year, but this kid came from the Mets organization, and I guess they were pitching him differently over there, so they have different rules for him. But yeah, he gave up 8 runs in the first. I think 12 batters came to the plate, and then 2 more runs in the second before they pulled him out. And it was after the inning. They didn't particularly care about the game. I guess they were just getting him as working. And there was like a good 5-10 minute break while the trainer was looking at something. We thought maybe it was a blister or fingernail or forearm or something. Yeah. So yeah, it was. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody. It says pitching sucks now because pitchers never pitch late in games anymore. It sounds like a Pat Caputo thing. Well, I can't do a good Mike Valenti. Mike Valenti is. I respect Mike Valenti to a certain extent. Like sometimes his baseball takes are terrible, but he's also doing it to bait you on and have people call in. That's his job. Valenti does his job very well. I'm not Mike Valenti. I don't get paid millions of dollars to do this. Whatever. So
it's definitely a skill to aggravate people enough to listen and want you to call, get them to call. And there's a skill to that. You can come out and
I didn't say it was Valenti, by the way. I said that Valenti. Somebody asked me to do Valenti voice. I was probably saying it was Pat Caputo. Go ahead, continue. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, you could tell when people are just manufacturing hot takes for hot takes. It takes it's like seeing somebody act who's not a good actor. You go, oh, that's not good. So yeah, I mean, Valenti's very good at trolling people, get them in. But I think, I'm glad I was considering putting this here too, but I was figuring one of you guys would. I'm glad you both did because it is such a stupid idea. And I understand it was that makes sense too. Yeah. It just, we talk about this all the time, but it feels like the people running baseball don't like baseball. Or they liked baseball when they were kids and they want it to be a little more like that. And the problem is doing this is not going to have the effect that they want it to. They want starting pitchers to stop throwing so hard and such nasty stuff and pace themselves. And that's not going to happen. It won't happen because if they don't throw this hard and they don't pace themselves, they're going to get destroyed. The hitters, like offense is down, but the hitters are still amazing.
Yeah.
And if they're not, at their best, they're not going to get guys out. Like Tarek Skubal throwing 91, 92, probably not going to work. For as good as his changeup is and his breaking balls and all that stuff, it's just not the way baseball is going to go. And we were having fun in the Discord earlier about coming up with other stupid rules that they could, do this. And it would, if they hate the bullpen starts so much, I guess you can get rid of that. But I don't think you're going to suddenly get this like a ton of like 8-inning starts again. It's just that's not going to happen. You're going to end up with basically pitchers who are, designed to go 3 innings, 7th, 8th, and 9th. You'll get Willie Hernandez again, I guess, or Joey Wentz 3-inning saves. But yeah, I mean, we were joking that if you want to increase the offense, and my thing was, every time you make a pitching change, you have to pull off a defender from the field. It's the equivalent of a red card in soccer. You change your pitcher, all right, you got to get rid of one of your outfilders probably, and then I don't know, you want to pull your third baseman, or you're shifting all over the place. And other people were saying, I think Pick said, it may have been Pick, it may have been Tigers Pobo, but that if they change the pitcher, everybody in the stadium gets a free beer. And that'll get the owners mandating that the pitchers have to stay in forever. So there you go.
Even it's ugly or it's even disgusting. Before we get to my good and my bad, actually, you know what? The 6th inning thing moves up to my bad, and this is ugly and just foul. The father of the minor at the center of the Wander Franco sexual abuse case intends to petition the court for dismissal of the charges. His attorney said on Wednesday afternoon. Franco, of course, is facing accusation of sexual abuse of a minor. And my brother just texted me this, and the text underneath this says, AKA Wander paid him off. You damn right he did. I mean, that's just there's no proof of that, but come on, And the other thing I can't say is Chris and I got the text at the same time for the other thing, and that sucks. That really, really sucks. But so my good. So let's get back to something. Zach Efron, since he's now 4-0 since he's joined Baltimore, and came through at a clutch time as they were able to take care of the Red Sox tonight, 5-1, a big victory. The Red Sox are just hanging. Well, meanwhile, the Red Sox are talking about signing Rich Hill because, I guess, Efron went out there, allowed a run, 5 hits, struck out 8, and now put him in first place tie with the Yankees, who come to town, play the Tigers on Friday and Saturday at home before going Sunday to Williamsport, Pennsylvania for the Little League game. So that is something that's going on. My nephew, by the way, whose team Southgate won their title, he's going to be part of that parade on Saturday. So it's pretty cool for anybody who gets to participate in that. So, but that's really cool. Anyway, Zach Efron 4-0. Zach Efron, not to be confused with the guy who did a fantastic job in the Von Erich movie. So,
he carried High School Musical.
I guess I haven't seen it. I have no interest in going further discussion about that. But yeah, so that is my good. But the other, there is a little bit. There is one bad thing I want to discuss too, as far as like you're talking about the Pirates, Chris, just being awful. I've been reserved. Let's talk about Oakland for a second.
All right.
So they, after all that hussing and puffing and all that, they are getting funding for their stadium. So in the end, all that bullshit about him whining about his money, he's going to get a stadium. Even though, I imagine being it, I feel bad for A's fans. You have no allegiance. You're going to be known as the A's now for the next couple of years. Even with the funding. I don't get it, man.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing has been a bummer. And it was, I think somebody was pointing out, forever, that Oakland actually made that the city met every demand he wanted. He just wanted out, wanted more, and
It's just being a dick, in other words.
Yeah. so
Screed mother. Yeah. To sit there and say I'm not greedy. Come on, dude. Really? And Oakland has such a great fan base too. I don't know. Whatever. All right. So plenty of that weird stuff to end the segment before we end the podcast. Just wanted to, so the Tigers open up a 3-game series with the Yankees starting tomorrow. And it looks like as far as for the Tigers go, it's Garrett Cole versus TBD. Saturday, it will be Montero throwing. And on Sunday, it'll be Skubal against Stroman for the Little League game. So
that worked out pretty well. That Skubal's going to be there in Williamsport.
In a national broadcasted game, too. So
against, this is if he goes out there and shoves, this is his Cy Young crowning moment, probably. I think people talked about it. I didn't even notice this. He's got the triple crown right now, the pitching triple crown.
Yes.
Yep. I had no idea. And it's much rarer than I realized. It's only like 8 times.
Is it wins, ERA, and strikeouts?
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun seeing him go against Judge and Soto and the rest of those clowns. I don't know who else is on the Yankees these days.
Well, you know what? Look, Sweeney against the Yankees too. That's gonna be some. That's the team that drafted him. Not to mention, here's the thing too. It's nice to have It's nice to have a game I want to watch Sunday Night Baseball that involves the Yankees, because they're on Sunday Night Baseball almost. It feels like every other time they're on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah.
I can't, this is just maybe just fortuitous, but when's the last time the Tigers had a big national game like this? 2014?
I can't think of when. I have to think about that because I'm trying to think of all right, let's see. While you look that up.
I have no idea to look.
Anybody? Okay. I thought it was good. Somebody to look it up. So how many people want? Okay. So I'm trying to look at how many times a New York team has been on Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh, all right. I mean, you're going to find out. What are we at? Week 22, week 23 of the season, or whatever, something like that. You're going to find out it's like 18 times.
Although I feel like I'm trying to find out when there has to be more Sunday Night Baseball games than the current baseball schedule. I'm trying to find all the games they've been on.
Seems like they have the Phillies fairly often. I could be wrong.
I could see. I mean, it's an East Coast team with a lot of stars on it. You got Bryce Harper. I could see that.
I think there's certain games that are So there's certain games that are selected, and then there's certain games that are selected, and then throughout the season there's one pre-selected was Dodgers been on 3 times. This will be only the second time the Cubs have been on, by the way. Or I'm sorry, the Yankees. I'm sorry, second time the Yankees have been on as a pre-selected game. So Yankees and Dodgers back on June 9th. Yankees, the Red Sox the following week.
So they're all getting kind of flexed. Is that what it was going on?
Yes. So some of them are getting flexed. So the rest of the schedule I'm not 100% on, but Dodgers have been on 3 times. The Cubs twice. Boston twice. Texas Rangers, the World Series team twice.
Yeah. Well, that's life as a flyover team, right?
Yeah.
I like to complain about it too, but they're trying to get eyeballs. I understand it. It's annoying for everybody else, but they want the casual.
Here's the premise. You get eyeballs on the teams that are good by explaining your whole candidate.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, they could put Cleveland on there. It's Cleveland and Milwaukee. There you go.
I would watch that.
Of course we would.
Yeah,
we have 2 baseball podcasts. Of course we would.
We're sadistic. Yes, I know.
This is for like the randos who are like, when's preseason football start? Hey, wait a minute, the Yankees are on. But I get it. But it's like I mean, a couple of years ago, that Field of Dreams game was pretty sweet. And that was the White Sox, right?
White Sox, Yankees.
And how far they've fallen.
So Yankees actually, by the way, we're back on July 28th.
Okay.
Sorry, so go ahead, Chris.
No, maybe this will be the coming out party for maybe every single Tigers rookie will homer in that game. We'll get a Jung homer and a Sweeney homer and a Dingler homer and a Keith homer and a Meadows homer. And everybody like, oh man, this juggernaut is forming. Or maybe not.
I like the wishful thinking, Chris. Usually I'm the one that's with the wishful thinking. I'm I like that. I like to dream of things like that could possibly happen. And now I'm obsessed with trying to figure out how many times the Yankees have been on Sunday Night Baseball.
Okay, how about this? Over under on home runs for Aaron Judge this weekend, 2.5. What do you got?
I'll go under. I feel like for whatever reason, the Tigers, I mean, they always seem to, Jose Ramirez aside, like the best hitters in baseball, they seem to have a pretty good plan against them. I don't know. Maybe that's just me misremembering things, but just going back to when Mike Trout was Mike Trout, like he never really damaged them that much. But I don't know. All it takes is one little mistake and Judge is going to murder it. So
if you want to know the broadcasting team for Sunday Night Baseball, of course, it's Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, who is the son of Tony Perez, former Red, part of the Big Red Machine, David Cohn, and Buster Olney. And they have the kids cast, which I don't know what the hell that is. Baseball. So there's baseball tonight with before on and ESPN to put this. So you can watch in Spanish. We were here in Spanish. And then, you know what? Doug Glanville, by the way, I don't know if you listen to ESPN Radio's baseball podcast or broadcast. Doug Glanville is very underrated. So those are your Sunday presenter. Maybe Doug, you know what? Maybe Riley Green comes out of the cornfields. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's the Field of Dreams game. Sorry, I got confused.
There's probably Corn and Williamsport, right?
Yeah, I would like to think so.
I mean, let's say he goes 2 for 4 tonight and has a couple of hits tomorrow. They might bring him to Detroit on Saturday.
He went 0 for 3 with a strikeout tonight.
Oh, so much for that.
But you know what? It was a strikeout swinging on a changeup, low and away. So as I said, he's in midseason form.
Yeah,
that's Riley Green's weakness. So I think he'll be fine. They had him play the field today, I think. So yeah, who knows? But I don't know.
So,
You're going down there tomorrow, Raj?
Yeah, I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna try to go down there tomorrow, and then try to go. So Chris and I were talking about doing this on Saturday. We're thinking about going to the game on Saturday afternoon, then head into Lansing for the nightcap.
The Whitecaps, yeah.
Yeah, well, nightcap for the Whitecaps.
Yeah, because tomorrow will be Max Clark has Fridays off usually, so.
Yeah.
I mean, you get Lorenzo, but we're trying to get as many looks at Clark and Lorenzo as possible. We saw Montalvo the other day. Looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He was throwing harder than he was when I saw him the week before. Although, I think my radar gun was a little bit closer. So who knows? But yeah, the Whitecaps have suddenly become a very, very fun team to watch and really pushing for a playoff spot. So that's enjoyable.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah. We're going to see. I might pull that Saturday thing off. I'm not sure yet. But either way, expect to start at the ballpark, at a ballpark this weekend. And thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. The Max Clark thing is just Chris, go ahead, because your theory was pretty spot on what you said yesterday.
Well, and we were talking to Jesse, the announcer of Lansing, and kids, you'll see most players don't play all 6 games in a week, at least below AA. So earlier in the year, they kind of pick a day that they're going to take off for the most part. Most days, things change. If there's a couple rainouts, they might play. So Max Clark, we think he probably just picked Friday as his day off. And so he's got 3 games and then a day off, then 2 games and a day off. It's just kind of the midweek. I don't think he's got, he's not in like some sort of weird religious sect or something like that. It's just those guys get days off. McGonigal only played 5 games a week too. And Lorenzo, I think has been, but, so yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. I go again. Still, the news of the weekend though was he still has bodyguards. It's still pretty cool. So that's how much of Max Clark brings it. So myself, Uper, and Chris, we'll see you Monday, and Brandon will be back with us Monday on the Motor Team on Tiger Minor League podcast. And we appreciate all the comments, all the feedback, and have a good weekend, everybody. Enjoy some good baseball. Good baseball weather, as back to school is coming back soon for some people out there, and these days in August it's almost the end of August. I can't believe it's gonna be the 18th of August by Sunday. It's just like that, and so we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. And I'm stalling for time to get to the banner music, and there we go.
Stay classy, everybody.
Yeah, stay classy, everybody. Have a good night.